all my life. Been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle paid the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Yeah, all my life, been grinding all my life. Yeah. Sacrifice.
Peace. Welcome to Mr.G's Hard Truth Show. Today I got some great guests with me. I'm gonna start off with I got Mr. Jimmy Lavender, and then I also got OG Manny Brown. Peace, fellas.
Hey, peace. Hey, Manny.
Yeah, what's going on, lad?
Okay, and greetings to everyone
Mr.
out there.
Mr. Lavender, Mr. Lavender, how you doing?
I'm okay, Mr. Manny. How about yourself?
I'm all right, making it, man. Trying to make it.
Okay, well, look, let me do something real quick. Let me give you a little tour of my hood, where I'm at and where I'm sitting at this very moment. Come ride with me.
Okay.
This
We ride it.
Samuel Rhodesia, the guy that built the watchtowers,
Yeah.
just sitting in his chair right here. I'm going to push it on down because I know we got some other things. But I'm going to get on you, New Yorkers. Here we go. I'm going to get on you, New Yorkers. This right here, a sculpture. I don't know who that is, but what's hitting me right now is the sun, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's
Yeah, I
right
can see
here.
it. That's Amen. Amen. Right. Hell yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
You
Where's
see the
that?
W?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
You see the W?
absolutely. For what?
Okay, you see the W.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now here in LA, we do watch this way, the fingers hanging out. In New
What's up?
York, they
Mm-hmm.
do watch this way.
Yeah.
You got jokes, Jimmy. He got jokes. We was out there and he had to correct me when I was out by the watchtowers with him, but I got it. What's up? From the
What?
from the east to
Also,
the west,
yeah.
from the west to the east.
Also, you was throwing the West Coast up. That's the West Coast,
Yeah,
but this is Watts. Yeah.
Yes.
there you go,
Yeah.
Manny.
Yeah.
I be knowing.
There,
I be knowing.
there
I've
you
been
go.
around here. I've been around here. I've been around Nickerson Gardens and stuff like that. I've been around
So
there.
then, so you know where I'm at.
Right. Yeah. I know exactly where you at.
There's them old towers right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm gonna be sitting today. And I see a tree over here that has a lot of shade. Uh, this sun is really hitting pretty hard right now, so I got to get out of it.
Now I got a question for you, right?
Okay.
You, from my understanding, you're a forefather and a co-founder of the Black Bishops and all of that. You and your brother, and what's your age? I would like to know your age first.
As a matter of fact, on the 20th of this month, next Tuesday, I'll be 70 years old.
70 years old. Peace and blessings, man. I pray to make it to that age. I'm 42, right? And as I said, man, y'all in the history on the East Coast, when I was a youngin, I learned about you and your brother in my teenage years. I was about 15 when I joined up, and even though the information was incomplete and most of it was um, incorrect, I can say that we had the basics and the history of the five, which even though it was more than five street gangs, we know that, but we had y'all in there, the Black Bishops. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
So like
Yes, sir.
your name, your brother name, along with like Elgin Trammell, Ederick Jones, um, um, who else?
Good country.
It's so many. Yeah, Big Country. I mean, Big Country is in my set's history as the founder. So Big Country is definitely in there. But I was speaking of like the street gangs that became
Hmm.
Bloods, like the chain gang, the low riders, the the 20s, the outlaw 20s, the at this park boys. You feel me? The Apple Hat gangsters. You feel me? Like it was so many other street gangs that we heard of that we had acknowledgement over here on the East Coast, and y'all names was attached to those sets. So I was familiar with who you were before actually
Okay.
knowing you. I honored who you were. And this is the part that, I was explaining to Ja and what I was like what I want to bring to the light of everybody from east to west, right? The misconception and the misperception and misconception about the gang banging on the east and the west coast and the differences. You heard? Like understand that like I'm an OG over here. I'm retired. I'm retired. I live with the moniker OG Manny Brim only because I've served for over 25 years under the NYBBA and as an East Coast blood member. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna be always remembered and known for my contribution under the banner of Damu. You know, no matter if I clean up my life, no matter if I could become a lawyer, I could become a cop right now, anything, and that's gonna be attached to me. You understand what I'm saying? It's
I know
something that,
exactly what you're saying.
yeah, and like for me, I try to change the narrative now, and I try to give insight to all brothers, east to west, that it's not about where you from. It's not about who started it. It's about understanding our purpose and our cause today.
Real shit.
You feel what I'm saying? Because the loyalty that y'all gave for whatever causes and purpose that y'all created it for, guess what? I was 15 when I joined up. I didn't know nobody. I didn't know a soul. I never met anybody in the physical at that time. All I could tell you is what was in my heart and what I felt I was dedicating my life to. You understand what I'm saying? Therefore, it
Hmm.
wasn't nothing fake about that. The time that I did, the work that I put in, the knowledge I've acquired, you know what I mean? All of that came from trial and taking that stance and saying I'm dedicating my life to paint we paint the town red, you know what I mean? Which is, create blood. You know what I mean? Let everybody know that blood exists, that we here. You feel what I'm saying? And that stood for a cause. Brotherly love override oppressive destruction. That was my fight. When I took the stance, when I took the oath, when I joined up, it was about brotherly love overriding oppressive destruction. That's what blood meant to me. It wasn't better look out or
Mm.
die. It wasn't nothing else. It was about uplifting my people. It was about taking a stance against racial discrimination, against
Yep.
injustice.
Yep.
You
And
understand
building
what I'm
up the
saying?
community.
So that was a cause, that was a purpose, that was something that was passed down to me, and it was something that I took the torch for and I lived and represented. It wasn't a claiming, it wasn't fake, it wasn't about, we trying to be like the West Coast. It was none of that. It
No.
was about we seeing oppression and we attacking it firsthand, and we
And
black
building up our
people,
own community.
and we living as that. You understand what I'm saying? So when I,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
and I was a fortunate person, Jimmy. I was one of them guys who lived on both sides. I lived in Cali and I lived in New York. You know what I mean? I got family in Cali, but I lived in the north. I lived in Oakland. You know what I mean? It wasn't too much
Okay.
gang banging going on
Okay.
over there. It was more revolutionary. But you had gangs out there. Right now
Yeah.
you got them. But it was more revolution. You know what I mean? Then, as the government destroyed every area where the revolution was strong at, and they put what? drugs in the communities. So
Drugs.
now, when I grew up in
Yep.
Oakland, what I seen more was pimping, drug dealing, and gang banging. When I came up in the 80s out there. I was born in 82. I was living out there from all the way to 89. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like um New York and the West Coast is different in many ways, and we the same in many ways. You know what I mean? What I loved about the West Coast was the community, how tight knit it was. I loved how my neighborhood where I lived at and grew up at in Cali. You know what I mean? And I remember as a kid the marches. I remember the unity. I remember the love, and I remember the house parties. I remember how the block came together. How everybody. I'm talking about my cousin TC was a well known female from out there. My family was well known in Oakland, and they was vanguards. They was part of the vanguard movement. Some of my family, and all I remember is the unity and the love, and I remember the red flags. I remember everybody saying the blood word. So those things have stuck to me because if you're from the north, if you're from California and you're from Oakland, you know due to the Black Panthers spread, the culture and the tongue, we identify with each other as bloods out there. Everybody in Oakland said blood. Like in Cali, everybody be saying cuz. In Oakland, everybody say blood. I don't care where you go to out there. You lived on East Oakland, West Oakland. Everybody identified each other with blood. Yo, what's up, blood? Hey, blood. Da, 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 da. So automatically, I was young and didn't know no better. So I took it as everybody was bloods. You know what I mean? Because I was a kid. I was a kid. Yeah, you got to think about it. I was 8, 9, 7, that age. So when I came to New York and I heard of the Bloods, automatically I'm like, yeah, my family Bloods. We all Bloods. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be. You understand what I'm saying? And it was all from you know a misperception because I was a kid, but I identified with that struggle, and I already had revolution in my system because my uncles and my grandfather, you know what I mean, etc. They were revolutionary minded people. So on the East Coast, when I joined up over here, it was through my love and what I learned and what I thought I knew on the West Coast, which I later found out I had it all kind of wrong. But then I was able, the spirit guides you. Spirit guides you. And I tell everybody, I say the West Coast should really appreciate the East Coast for keeping this shit alive because y'all was outnumbered over there. It was more Crips than Bloods over there. Over here, it's more Bloods than Crips, and we kept it like that, and we upheld that. We upheld that banner in a righteous way to
on,
where, you know,
on that note, Manny, I don't want to cut your wisdom. We
Yeah.
had D-Rock that popped in. I just wanted to
okay,
shout D-Rock out for popping in.
What's good, my
And
brother? How y'all
yo,
doing?
peace.
All right,
So
D-Rock.
peace, D
Yes,
Rock.
peace, peace. How y'all doing, brothers?
All right,
So
bro.
on that note, right? Because you gave us a breakdown, and I'm glad you did because this is going to segue into the discussion or topic for today, right?
Right,
The difference between East Coast and West Coast culture, and we
right.
have, like you said, one of the forefathers of a founding and co-founding member of one of the earliest sets, Jimmy Lavender. Jimmy,
Yes, sir.
yeah, you got the floor. This conversation actually came up due to another individual sparking something or coming to you for some advice. Um, they happen to be part of the same set in a different coast, and they asked a question. And do you care to elaborate on that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right. My question was the unity from the East Coast to the West with the bishops.
The unity. I can't really speak on that. I'm 70 years old now, so I don't live that life anymore.
Got you.
So I don't really know their connections like that anymore.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's more understanding. More understanding. And then right now, as
Now,
my
now,
chains and my huh?
I'm sorry, but I have met East Coast bishops. Um, some have come to California, and I've showed them around. But
Gotcha.
far as the interaction between both um, East and West, I really couldn't tell you a lot.
Gotcha. No, that's understanding. That's definitely understanding. A little change on one of my questions is, I'm following Mr. G, within the Trop, and I want to get your understanding, like how you feel you would look as a person, as a real Trop member.
How repeat that question?
How would you look as a person, as a real Trop member?
One that really understand Trop is the rebuilding of people,
Yes.
and that's lifting people up.
Yes.
And if you're out there lifting people up, then that's what Trop is all about.
Yes.
But if you're not lifting people up, then I couldn't really consider you a real member or a real Trop member.
I definitely feel that.
It's
I definitely feel that 100%.
because, yeah, you know, Trop, the rebuilding of people. I mean, if you see a person over here on the ground and just stopping, talking to him, uh, you don't know who he is. They might just need to hear what you have to say that would get them off the ground and back on their feet. So things like that, little things but big things, and that's
Got
what
you.
Trop is all about, man.
Got you. Got
You
you
know,
100%.
D-Rock, it's more of a lifestyle, right? You got to be living and breathing it. It doesn't stray too far from what we're already doing when it comes to uplifting our people,
Right,
because that's what we're about. But TROP includes all people. We don't distinguish, the people that we help. We
Got
just
you.
out there to service the communities, right? Help get communities better, help them get stronger, and be able to, become something that they might have not had the opportunity to become without the assistance of another member.
That's real shit. And that's what I'm trying to change with myself and stay out of politics. It's like, cause us down moves, we sometimes have our tendency to look down, and it's just about my hood only, and f others.
Well, when you get into that kind of mindset, it kind of contradicts what the brand stood for from the beginning, as Manny explained.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
so if you're doing something contrary, you can't be coming in the real right aspect. That's just what it is. Sometimes people do what they do in order to survive, but once you've already survived, after that it just becomes abuse. Then you become the oppressor.
Yeah, yeah,
You
exactly.
feel me?
Exactly. I'm
So
gonna get to my meaning enough. Yeah, exactly.
we try to stay away from that. I as you know me since you've known me, I stay out of the politics.
All the time.
I
Yeah.
come across many different people, and the only thing I try to do is get people to be able to communicate and create a harmony so that we could connect and unite as a front. Because the vision is hell of a beast, man.
Yeah.
They hit us with that divide and conquer thing, and it's hard for us to uplift ourselves in that state of condition.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I do my best to stay out the BS politics, and stay
I
right.
got a question. I got a question. D-Rock, where you from?
I'm from Southside, Jamaica, Queens.
From Jamaica, Queens? Are you banging?
Yeah, Bishop, Nandus.
Oh, you now dudes Bishop. Okay, okay, no problem. All right. So respect, peace to you and your brothers, the movement, man. How old are you?
38.
All right, so you're a few years younger than me. So you lived in New York your whole life?
Yes.
Uh, you been incarcerated?
Nah. Little
Never been,
bookings, no long term, nothing now.
never been incarcerated. Okay, cool. All right. So when did you join up? When did you join up?
Say it one more
How
time.
long? How long you been banging for?
Mm, I want to say like good 12 years, probably a little longer. I'm not good with dates.
Okay, okay, all right. And your base was in Queens.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, no doubt. I see. I've been unfamiliar with the sets and how things been going. You know what I mean? Because I've been inactive for a while now. Um, but I'm an OG under 5'9" Brim over here. You know what I
Okay,
mean? I was in the books worldwide, up north. I did 23 years in prison. You know what I mean? Off and on, but more so on than off because I had like split biz, like 6 months home in between. You feel what I'm
got
saying?
you,
Stuff
got you.
like that. And I'm gonna raise a topic real quick because we talking about this. If you mind me, Ja,
Nah,
Jimmy,
good.
and it's to deal with um the East versus West inside the penitentiary. You
Yeah, I said
understand
a
what I'm
lot about.
saying?
I said a lot about that.
All right, now understand this, right? And a lot of the brothers that's over here know me very well. I've always been against blood on blood, east, west, whatever. For me, living in Cali and for me knowing the real right way and understanding where it came from, I always had a different perception and point of
Outlook
view,
on things.
outlook, right? And a lot of the brothers, you know, everybody know things get voted on,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. You gotta
and
have
the majority rules, but it don't change who you are. If you a
Yes.
stand up real man and you stand on what's right, you will still, promote what's right. So along my years in my life incarcerated, and we could call any of the OGs, triple OGs, which is high stains and GFs over here, right?
Mhm.
And they would tell you, they gonna say, nah, man, been pushing that line. Man, been teaching us about the West. Man, been explaining that it was no, you know, d- no separation between your brothers. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? That's more like a crip thing. You know what I mean? That
Exactly.
set tripping shit was more like a thing. So I say this, right? You would have had a hard time in the penitentiary. You understand what I'm saying? Due to ignorance, due to
Got you.
people not really understanding the way and learning the right way.
The right
You
way.
understand what I'm
Exactly.
saying? And the biggest misconception, and me talking to Elgin Tramel, Triple OG Elgin Tramel, me talking to Double OG. I don't know if he no, I think he a OG. Um um Deuce M's. Deuce M's a OG, right, Jimmy? Jimmy?
I'm here.
Jimmy him? You know Deuce
Yeah, he said
M's?
he
You know
said.
the O he's an OG, right?
Who's that?
Or a double OG.
Who?
Sims, Deuce Sims.
I don't know
Deuce
Deuce
M's from
Sims.
Fruit Town.
I don't
You don't
know
know
him.
Deuce M's? All right, he from South Central. He from Fruit Town. I think he 32nd Street. I think he 32nd Street, Fruit Town or whatever. But I had a conversation with him back a few years ago. And and I basically was telling him like, yo, a lot of our brothers over here got caught up in that whole Biggie and Tupac thing. You understand what I'm saying? So the East and the West Coast became rivals over rappers. You understand what I'm saying? More so, yeah. Like the Pac and Biggie thing has nothing to do with gang culture. But everybody, I mean, even though they cases, they was involved with whatever who gang members they did, whatever unalived them, whatever, that's their business. But it had an effect on our culture as a whole because the East and the West decided not to like each other after that to a high level and a high rate. And me, I've been through a whole lot over here by pumping the West Coast way and trying to get brothers over here to understand that, hey, we bloods. It's deeper than Tupac and Biggie. You understand what I'm saying? And I say this to say that you gotta have a love and a passion for the culture to identify and understand that it's wrong to beef with your brother that's representing the same color flag as you. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of people they don't understand that because they are wrong. They uneducated, they are misguided. But as the years went on, brothers start traveling, dudes start coming home, remembering that the culture of Damu started in a penitentiary on the East Coast. This is what makes the biggest difference of blood between West and East. It started in an institution inside a correctional facility on the East Coast. And guess what, Jimmy? Guess what?
Okay.
I'm gonna be the blood to tell you something because I thought about this for a long time. It didn't even start wrong over here. It
Hmm.
didn't even start wrong over here. Want me to tell you why it didn't start wrong over here, Jimmy?
Yeah. You tell me.
Because where did the UBN start?
In California.
And where?
Let me do this. Let me say this.
San Quentin Penitentiary, right?
Okay. Well, let me say this.
I just
At
wanna
my
I just
age,
wanna give
no,
I
no, no,
just
no.
want
Listen
you
to
to
me.
It's my fault.
all
No,
I'm
right,
used to
Manny.
this.
Listen to
all
me.
right.
The blood, the Damus, I predates them.
Right. I know that.
So I was not a blood. And
Oh,
when
okay.
the UBN
Okay.
and all that kind of thing started, that's way after me.
I
By that
understand.
time, man, I had a family and had lived a whole different life. So I don't.
That's how I learned when I did
You,
my research and things like that on y'all.
yeah.
What see, Jimmy,
I don't know
Jimmy.
about that.
See, all right. So what see, that's the correction right there. See, you are a founder, like Elgin, like y'all are founders of street gangs, street
Exactly.
movements that later became Bloods.
Blood. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
What I'm trying to show the world right now is the clear the misconception because everybody want to believe, oh well, they started wrong, they didn't start right. We started the same, we continued on. The UBN was founded in 1982 or 83 in San Quentin Penitentiary. That's where the UBN
Okay.
was founded at. The UBN was founded on the East Coast
Mm-hmm.
inside a penitentiary, Rikers
Mm-hmm.
Island. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm getting at? So when people say, "Oh well, it wasn't started right because it was started in the hood, in the streets, the gangs was is by they blocks, by they hood." Yeah, that's the street gangs. The street gangs was in a community. The UBN was founded in a penitentiary. You understand
Okay.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
on the East Coast, Bloods started in the penitentiary, and we was under the umbrella of the UBN, United Blood Nation, right? Tumac L, also known as Triple OGT Rogers, right? He was in contact with a lot of the brothers over here. You know, rest his soul, BIP. He was in contact
Yeah.
with a lot of brothers on the East Coast. And he spoke to a lot of brothers, Big Iz, OG Mac. He even came out here in 2001, 2002 and had a rally and everybody appeared that was from the sets, right? I remember this. Now, my thing is this, right? No, we all know OG Mac never lived in Cali. We later found this out that he lied about a lot of things, right? But the actual act of unifying black brothers inside a oppressed correctional institution wasn't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we're not wrong
You
with
know what
that.
I mean? The lies, let's go to history. If we go down in history, we would see that majority of the gangs on the East Coast, majority of the religions that was created on the East Coast was created over fictitious history, right? If we go to the NOI, we go to the NOI with Elijah Muhammad, right? And we go
I'm
into,
hearing some
you know, he
background
told us
noise.
the
I
white
can
man
hear
was
you. Mm.
that's not me. That's somewhere else. That's what
Yeah.
it is. But
All right.
But we go into the history of the Nation of Islam, you will see that the Nation of Islam was created off of, you know, cut like following, cut like following, because uh, Elijah Muhammad preached that the white man was the devil, that the white man couldn't be Muslim, that the white man was this, the white man was that. Well, guess what? At that time, that's what our people needed to hear, because we was lost. We was dumb, deaf, and blind. You know what I mean? Well, OG Mac, I don't even like OG Mac. He a rat. I don't even like him. You understand what I'm saying? I call him OG Rat. But out of respect for those that love him, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
OG Mac, he seen that the people was in duress. He seen that we was oppressed. He seen that we needed something of faith to follow, and that Muslim shit wasn't cutting it. That NOY, none of that was cutting it, because they was preaching peace during the time we was being violated in the institution. So we needed warriors. We needed some people to take the stance. He read a couple books, Do or Die by Leon Being. Uh, what was the other book? It was a major book that was written, that was read. Um, The Uprising. The Uprising. Um, so many, a Monster Cody book. He read so many
Yeah.
books. He just mixed everything up, but he knew and identified with the B. I'm glad he ain't choose the C. I'm glad he chose the B instead of the C to go with, because this whole East Coast would be crip right now. But he
So
chose.
Manny, I got a question for you. I got a question for you and Jimmy, because we kind of like skipped over it. Initially, another brother was supposed to be on the line. He never made it, right?
Right.
He never made it, and it was dealing with the difference in gang culture. You being in prison, you being part of the East Coast, already know how we feel about homosexuality and gangs, right? But Jimmy wanted to share something about how West Coast differs a little bit, from that. And the conversation was the person was riding in the West Coast set, right, asking for guidance, and you know, we never had a chance to get the response from him. So Jimmy, can you share on the difference in that culture first, real quick?
Yeah, according to a few guys I talked to from the East, Bishop family members, they're real hard on, they don't accept anybody that participate in homosexual activities. Uh, if a man go down on another man, it's not acceptable to be a gang member on the East Coast, but it is on the West Coast. Now, I won't drop no names. I can go back over 50 years. I have known hardcore bangers, killers who allow another man to go down on him, and the whole clique know it. And I'm talking about guys that's in leadership, straight killers. And he still is a member of that set. Okay. Um, when something go down, he's the first to jump in his car and go back for retaliation, the whole 9 yards. So he's not booted out the set. Now, the guys on the East Coast tell me we're not going to have that in our set. But at the
At all.
same time, huh?
I said at all. However, there are a lot of undercovers.
Now,
It
now,
gets
now,
real
look.
tricky. But good, good.
Okay, at the same time,
Uh huh.
inside of the prisons, some of your big homies are booty bandits. Are booty bandits.
Hmm.
I know a lot of them. Hardcore from all different gangs in LA are booty bandits. They come back in the hood, they put the rags back on, and then they go down the street and kill another brother.
All right, now let me interject on this right here, right? Because this is a big topic, and we don't want to get this
Yeah,
misconstrued.
I got about 8 minutes on my phone.
Yeah,
Go
All
we
ahead.
right.
Xing out. We X out all homos. We X out all drug users. We X out all rapists. Those were the top three. and the top 5 rules on the East Coast.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me? No homo activity, no rapists, no dope, coke, heroin usage, pills, anything that alters your mind to have you doing something that you
Yeah,
don't know you're doing is X'd out. If any hardcore drug was X'd out, any like y'all did Sherm, y'all could sniff coke, y'all could sniff dope out there. Y'all could do all of that out there. I've been out there, so I know. They call it full blown in Oakland. You could get full blown out there. You know what I mean? And still be a gang member. You can do whatever drugs and people still gonna accept you, right?
I
Over
agree
here,
with you on that, Manny. But there's a few big homies on the East Coast that's dope heads and all that too, though.
we
yeah, they fuck
listen,
with the bag. But go ahead.
we're not saying they don't, but it's prohibited.
Yeah,
In
facts.
an
Absolutely.
institution, in a penitentiary, when I was in there, if you did hard drugs, dope, coke, any of that, you was faded. And this is the reason
Facts.
why we separated from the UBN. This is why the
It's
Brims left out of the UBN on the East Coast because dudes was dealing with favoritism.
that's a
Dudes
fact.
started dealing
Cause
with
before
drugs.
Bishop, I was a Miller. You know what I'm trying to say? So I know about all of that. So I get what you're saying, but it was a lot of them, even to
Right.
now, they still got
Yeah,
in the hood, they
even to
still
this
big
day.
homies, and they
Uh,
still doing what they do. You know what I'm trying to say?
right.
And
But
feel
it
that they
but
bigger than the
but it's
program.
but it's all prohibited. If you are real right, you know
Oh
that
yeah,
that's
that's the
not
fact.
something you
We got to stand what we stand on. But then it's
right.
like, then that's when the
Right.
politics comes in. You know what I'm trying to say? To where your mind start bugging because it's like how they still got their hood, and then, like you just said, it's still guidelines that we're supposed to go by. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's
Yeah,
like
but my thing
so
is
that's why I
just
stay
to,
away from the politics and I just stay right.
all right, just to touch on it. See, I don't stay away from it. I enforce.
No,
When I
I
was in
enforce too,
prison,
but at the same
when
time,
I
I'm not
was
gonna
in
get too
prison,
caught
I
in my
was an
own situation
enforcer.
and my kids
I
and
was a
things
leader.
like that
I
too.
was an enforcer.
Me
I'm standing
enforcing
on
still
business. If you was doing that, you was out the ride. Any one of them things. If you was doing any homo activity, we found out about it. By the end of the night, you was done. You understand what I'm saying? Guaranteed. So West Coast, I speak this. I don't get that. I don't get no understanding of how you can allow another man, because that's a form of weakness. That's a weakness. You know what I mean? If you allow another man to go down on you, or if you looking to take another man's anal, that's weakness. We
that's
don't
a
want
fact.
no weak members. It no matter how much work you put in, you can't lead by example and show another brother that you could submit to being weak to deal with another man. You understand what
But
I'm
Manny,
saying? Because that's
excuse me, Manny. But excuse me. But what about those on the East Coast and in the South that want to identify with the West Coast? They want to be just like the founders and run everything like the Lavenders did in the beginning. So then, if you're
I'm one
gonna
of them.
be okay, so if you're gonna be that and run everything like the original West Coast did, the original West Coast accepted all that kind of activity in their games.
All right. Let's get this understood though, Jimmy. We never wanted to be. We on the East Coast. I'm gonna say we in reference to the whole, because I can't say I. I I'm different, and that's because I understood the gang culture from a different perspective from the West Coast, where others over here didn't. So let's understand that we never wanted to be like the West Coast. We adopted the culture and the title of blood because OG Mac read books and he said, yo, I'm going to unify a bunch of brothers, and blood is what it sounded the best to suit and fit us. We wasn't in a community, we was in prison. So that's why he didn't use CRIP, because CRIP stand for community reform, right? Blood stood for brotherly love. So that's why OG Mac took blood and used blood as the gang to represent us over here. But it was never to be like the West Coast. It was just to take a stance against the oppressive forces and unite the people under a color. And red was that color. Blood was that
Look,
title. That was the culture that he went with.
my
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 Well,
thing is,
my
my thing
brothers.
is
Hold on.
this, Jimmy, right?
Yeah, I was about to say. I know the comment sections are gonna go crazy, and I want us to be able to get a part two. Jimmy got like 8 minutes left, and that was about like 4 minutes ago. I just want him to be able to share, his books that's coming out and his new endeavors real quick, and then we'll tap right back in. I do want to hear what you have to say, Manny. All right? Is that cool, guys? Jimmy.
Yeah, here we go.
All right, and
Um,
let me just can I just
I'll be
explain one thing, and then and I want to say this, right? When I say when I say when I say that I wanted to be like y'all, the founders, what I mean by that is when I looked at the West Coast and I identified with the love and the unity and all of that was inside the hoods. That's what I liked. That's what I wanted to reflect. I wanted to reflect the unity and the love of the people in my community. So when I seen the Bloods and I seen the unification in the communities and I seen them flying their color and I seen them standing on business, you know what I mean? That's the part that I wanted to emulate. And that's what I always lived by, you know, since I had joined up.
All right.
eh, okay, and I hear
Yeah.
you, but on the end of that, it's just a situation going around at this present moment from the East Coast, and I get the phone call, and that particular set leader wants to do everything under the West Coast. He wanted me to come back there, as a matter of fact, to educate them of how and why we started, you know. But they had that situation pop up where I'm like you, Manny. I'm not. That's gay shit. But that went on. I suppose it went on, and they wanted to demote this guy and do some shit to him. And I said, well, you know what? Truthfully, on the West Coast, that shit been going on for 50 years, man, and we ain't demoted nobody. So if you want to be like us or what we did in the beginning, then we didn't demote you for that, you know. So, but in closing, because my phone's gonna shut down, and hey, man, look, I'm looking forward to this, man. I enjoyed this, and my book will be released May 20th. That's the target date. You guys check me out. One is called A Bishop's Redemption. That Bishop's Redemption, and the other one is going to be Me and Cheryl Inseparable. That's fiction. There's also Benny and Maria Forever. That's out there now on Amazon. And then you have Bitter Rain and A Better Tomorrow. And if you go check out Bitter Rain and A Better Tomorrow, it's my life story. It talks about why we started the Bishop Gang, or as a matter of fact, I'm gonna call it what we called it, the Defenders.
There you go.
Go back to you again, Manny. The Defenders. We're all about defending our neighborhood against the oppressors and the aggressor that was terrorizing our community. And that's why my brother and I started Bishop. As a good friend of ours, Skip, got killed senselessly. We said no more in our neighborhood. And it was so cold because all our surrounding neighborhoods, the bounty hunters right here, you got Crips. We're surrounded. Bounty hunters and Crips fighting each other. We go to school with both of them. We don't want nothing to do with none of that. But when our
So it's
friends
safe
was
to say,
killed,
look, so
uh-oh. Go ahead.
pardon me, Jimmy, I ain't mean to cut you off what I want to do. So I was saying, so it's safe to say, no matter if you're East or West Coast, both movements start for the same cause to stand against oppression, regardless.
Right, right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like we everybody wanna everybody, of course, like you gotta get the flowers, you gotta get the credit for being the founders. But we also have to acknowledge that the East Coast formed this movement for the same reasons that the West Coast formed. Even if you go into all of the street games joining up against the Crips, it was oppression. Raymond and the Crips was oppressing the communities. So,
Exactly.
you know, in prison on the East Coast, it started through the oppression of the Latin Kings and the police. It's all started for the same reason, against to stand against oppression.
Yes.
I think the
So
hate
Yeah.
and the envy and the jealousy have to be removed in order for a bridge to actually happen.
So, fellas, where can everybody follow you guys at? I want to
To
make sure y'all
for
get
a
that
bridge to
information out.
occur.
I'm sorry, that cut off, Manny. Say that again.
Well, you already know my. All right, you already know my name. I'm Loaf Life Manny, aka OG Manny Brim. Um, you can find me on TikTok. Loaf Life Manny, LOAFLYFEMANNY. You can find me on Instagram, Loaf LOAF underscore LYFE underscore Manny MANNY. You can find me on YouTube. Same thing, Loaf Life Manny, or Loaf Life TV. All right, from chains to change on YouTube. From chains to change.
Got you.
That's Loaf
Jimmy.
Life Manny.
Jimmy, you
So
still on the line or you cut off? Look like he might be having some technical difficulties. And D-Rock, thanks for tapping in, brother.
Now you already know everything peace and how we do.
Yeah, man. We're gonna get ready for part 2. Everybody can hit Jimmy Lavender up on Jimmy Lavender Facebook, or you could just reach out to Trop Bills and the information to get to him. Or you could go to Trop Worldwide on YouTube.
and
Be sure to check out this video.
oh yeah, also look for the collaboration. Look for the collaboration of Trop and Liddy Foundation. That's my foundation, Liddy. Living Inspiration
Liddy,
Transforms Troublesome Youth. Look for the collaboration. We trying to put together a document. Well, we gonna put together a documentary, Bridging the Gap, Royalty. That's the name of it. It's gonna be called Royalty, from peons to kings and queens. You feel me?
There you go.
Word.
You heard it
Bridging
first
the
here.
gap
Mr.
between
G's
the
Hard
East and the
Truth.
West.
Bridging the gap, Manny. There we go.
that's lit.
Bridging the gap.
Salute, fellas. Have a good
Facts.
one.
Salute
Peace.
to everybody.
Salute, salute.
Peace.
This is an Infinite Energy production. Yo, what's up, lads?
What up, son?
Yo, man, this shit done switched up, man.
Change, bro.
They let a lot of frauds and lames up in here, man. Time to bring this back.
I see the envy up in their eyes. Characters talking them lies. Mannequins flossing that drip. Even kids talking they shit. Got gangsters snitching on tracks. In my book, they still call rats. You say the block you deal and the plug you deal with the shootouts up in that trap. It's a fact caught in a trap. I'm a warrior built to adapt. I had jewels way before rap. I had crews way before the 5 or 6. Use 9 for mine, so don't get out of line. Get put in lines, I call that at a time. I'm about mine, came to handle biz. Ain't no stopping that, I came to school. These lames is a crucial game. So I'm bringing pain, setting trends with some veterans. I'm a B-boy who respect the art. This is hip-hop, no gimmicks here. Even in careers if I have to. I'm an MC, this is natural. Don't make me body snatching, shorty grab. Put you on the plate for that actual.
Sharp.